y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. And hey, I had actually just did a part one for the Vanderpump Rules recap and review and chat. So if you haven't gotten an opportunity to take a listen to that view or watch to that view, go ahead and do so. Because I've got some questions thinking about Vanderpump Rules as the reunion has gone on. And I just, of course, would love for us to be able to conversate in the comment section. So, yes, make sure that you do get a chance to go back out there and check out the part one review and recap and chat as well. But as you can see for the title for this one, we are doing the recap and review chat for part two of Vanderpump Rules. And I'm pretty impressed with myself coming back as fast as I did, because I believe the first recap review was probably about an hour or so ago. So yeah, okay. I'm happy about that. But nevertheless, I wanted to get right on in and cover part two, because part three is actually going to be running this week on Wednesday evening. So I want us to be all caught up and ready to go. And yeah, I thought that would be kind of good to go ahead and knock this one out now too. But as you can see, we definitely had a lot that we were getting into as far as the scandal in part one. I won't go through all the particulars in that, but it's been hot and heavy. All of the target is basically placed on Tom right now, because as we all know, due to the temporary restraining order, Raquel is sitting in a trailer 100 yards away from everything going on and actually viewing it from one of the televisions in there. So, she's able to see what's going on, and she on occasion has something to say about what she's seeing. But nevertheless, that's kind of how things are going until she's able to resume on the platform in which she should be in dealing with all of the questions, because Tom should not be getting them all by himself, right? So that is basically where we, I guess, started on part two as well, right? I mean, they got to just going off on Tom and letting him have it. I mean, that was just what it was. They were going to let him have it, and he was not getting out of that, and that was that. There was a lot of going back, a lot of conversation. I had to rewind it a couple of times myself, because I needed to hear everything that was coming out of his mouth, because he really has no defense for what he's done, right? But in the constant conversation, or yelling and screaming and hollering, whichever one you want to choose, between James and Lala against Tom in the beginning of part two, Tom throws out there, oh, well, as far as Lala was concerned, because we're talking about maybe the clout chasing of it all, that, hey, she decided to pull out her IUD as soon as Stassi, which is a former Vanderpump Rules cast member, had found out that she was pregnant. And I thought, wow, I rewinded that a couple of times, because I was like, no way that he just said that like that. I mean, it's like, honestly, tell us how you really feel. I didn't even know that was really a conversation or a question about anybody. I mean, yeah, I was kind of surprised that Lala did, get pregnant as soon as she did. But at the end of the day, she was, or I guess as she thought, she was going to be in a lifelong relationship with Randall. And, so they were getting married. They were engaged until they weren't. But nevertheless, she was moving on with her life. So, it is what it is. But I just thought that was a bit scandalous for him to say. But of course, in that heated, she didn't really directly hit that one too much, but it was just a lot of the yelling back and forth, as what we ended off on part one. And of course, James had to get back up again, because he just feels so triggered by anything that Tom says to him. And then he lets the producers know in the background, hey, every time he says something, basically I'm getting upset and I got to use the restroom. So I just think that's kind of just, a way for him to keep getting away with leaving the stage every 5 minutes. But I'll be honest with you, I'd prefer him to do that than actually go into a full brawl, which, by the way, I believe happened in part one. I don't think I mentioned that, because that was a big deal, right? That was all over the internet about what and who, what the issue was, and who actually got into a brawl at the reunion. And so now we get to see that it was James. I thought it was probably going to be, who did I think it was going to be? I think one theory for me was that I thought James was probably going to be involved, but I just didn't know with who. And then I thought Tom Schwartz, but then I didn't know with who. So, I mean, I just didn't think Tom Sandoval, who is he going to fight, really? I mean, he's such a broken man, isn't he? But Tom, or James rather, was coming for him, and so it ended up being James and Tom, as we can see, with all of the insidious things being thrown at each other. James had daggers for Tom. That's a friendship I don't think it's ever going to recover. So, that being said, that was who the lucky couple was, right? So if you were a betting person, would like to know who you thought the brawl was going to be between. But yeah, James and Tom Sandoval was. I guess I just didn't think that James and Tom Sandoval would really even get in a fight. And the reason why I say that, because maybe that could have been obvious, but at the same time, James been telling us all along that he's over Rachel. So what difference does it make, right? But that was who the brawl was about. So there was that. Now, we also got to go in a little bit deeper into the dynamics between Lala and Randall right now. And they're not really good, right? We already know. I mentioned in the last live that there was the Hulu documentary. Well, there's also other stuff that's come out about, Randall as well. So he's kind of dealing with a lot of things right now. Apparently, the LA Times had put out an article alleging, the casting couch situation, lawsuits, running the DRUGSs, and having his assistants do that, as well as harassment type of claims as well. So he's got a lot of things that he's dealing with on a lot of fronts. I think they're trying to sell that home that Lala and Randall had actually moved into. I don't even know how long they were in it, but if you remember, I think it was a Bel Air home that they had. We saw maybe an episode or two where they did show us inside. It looked really beautiful, looked very peaceful and serene, but unfortunately it just wasn't meant to be. So we know from that Randall is going through a lot of things. And of course, with Lala trying to really, I guess what she's trying to do is maybe get full custody of her daughter, Ocean. I'm not 100% sure exactly what's the goal there, because I don't know if it's that she's trying to fight him from trying to get full custody, because I can't understand why he'd want full custody. I mean, he has 2 other kids by his ex-wife, and I don't see him as a full custody kind of guy. That's just my opinion. But nevertheless, Lala does share that her and Randall do not, because she was asked the question, if it was the last time they talked, she says, we do not deal with each other face to face. She said, by the way, just recently, the nanny, when Ocean was with him, apparently she was sick or out, or for whatever reason was not able to do the exchange. So he ended up doing the exchange, but basically all Lala did was take Ocean from him, put her right in the car, and then they drove off. So that was that. So, I'm sure a lot of people wish that they could have their pickups and drop-offs in that same way, without the fighting and the arguing and all of that kind of stuff. Just get right to the point. I'm only here for this. We don't even have to say hello. We don't have to say anything, right? Let's just do this exchange and move on with the rest of our day. So we hear that was what was going on. And then, the question was asked of Lala, was she surprised that this information was coming out on Randall, right? Because of course she knew what she knew, or began to understand more about him. But she said, I was surprised, and I wasn't surprised, not surprised the fact of what was going on, right? Because she already feels whatever she feels, right? And then, but surprised by the fact that it actually got out there at the extent that it is. And so right now his name is kind of mud, it seems like. But, we'll see how things go. People risen from the ashes of the phoenix many times. So we'll just see how this works for him. But right now he's going through some things. But there was also some conversation, I guess, in regards about his spokesperson kind of speaking for him and saying all these things that is being alleged in the LA Times and obviously in the Hulu documentary are not true, and all of these things. Well, then Lala drops the tea that, oh, by the way, that happens to be a spokesperson of Harvey Weinstein's as well. I guess allegedly, maybe. I don't know, but this is what she says. And I'm just like, oh, wow. I mean, I'm not really surprised about that, though. If that is the case, if that's true, I'm not surprised by it. Hollywood is a small town. Tinseltown, as it is a small, small world. So that doesn't surprise me. And it seems like a lot of the same actions or similar actions that we know of the disgraced Harvey Weinstein committed. It appears that they're trying to say that allegedly that Randall was doing the same types of things. So that brings into question about Lala and wondering, well, we're talking about red flags, right? Because a red flags conversation wasn't just to Ariana and Tom. We're talking about Lala too, because as Andy reminded us, there was like 3 seismic, as he used, relationships, breakups. We had the Katie and Tom Schwartz, we had Lala and Randall, and we had Ariana and Tom. And yeah, I mean, all of the main functions of the cast members were all broken up. I mean, because a lot of them were coupled up, but yeah, all done, Zoes, I guess. And so Lala, of course, is being asked that question. Hey, did you not know about the casting couch thing? Because Lala, she's acted in a couple of films. And there was one film that I think I saw on Netflix. I think it was Netflix. And I'll look it up. And if I can think about it next time around, I'll mention which one it was. But it actually looked through the trailer. I didn't watch the whole movie. It looked like it was pretty interesting. I think she's like playing a sheriff or something like that, or at least a deputy or something like that. And it looked like it was pretty good. And she did another movie that I'm not really sure what the name of that was. May have been the first movie that she did with Randall, or got through her relations with Randall. I'm not really sure, but she's got her toe dipped in all the way into the acting thing. So kudos to her for that. Now, she also shares a little bit more about how they got together in the first place, because that seemed to be a bit, of interest and questioned at the same time. Because a lot of people were under the understanding that Lala basically got with Randall and let him hit it, right away as soon as they met. That's what the understanding was. But she says that's not how it went down. Basically, Randall had met her through her time as a hostess on SUR, because he had apparently went to SUR and sent over one of his assistants to basically ask Lala if she had a manager. So they get to talking, and then next thing you know, she's now, basically showing her interest in being an actress. And so he has a movie. She says she tapes for the part, and then she gets oh, guess what? You got the role. She gets the role, and then bada boom, bada bang. That was that. Now, when she had shared, when they clipped back to a past episode where they were talking about the fact that, so you guys got together pretty quickly because, Andy wanted to know, hey, did you feel like you were a victim of the casting couch allegations as well? She said no, because he said, hey, did you think you need to sleep with Randall? And she said no. Now, look, Lala has been one that has never shied away from expressing herself in full form. And she has no problem, no shame about what and who she did, when and how she did it. And that's fine. Be liberated like that. It's not a problem. Nobody cares. It's great. Do you, boo, right? But I thought it was interesting, that the question was even asked. But hey, ask the questions, because it's the time we're going to get it, right? And so she says, no, I did not feel any pressure for that. And by the way, by the time we got together, it was like a good 3 years later, I think she said, or 2 years later, because December 2015, yeah, I think it was about 3 years later, something like that. What did she say? Well, it was a couple of years later or something like that. Maybe 3. But December 2015 is basically when she went for that original role. And then, time went past or whatever. And then whenever that time was, which was some years later, is when her and Randall decided to become a couple. But you got to also remember, Randall was married. So I don't know if he was separated at the time, going through the divorce and separated, or divorced, or whatever the case may be. Fully engaged in his marriage, I have no idea. But at the time, things were kept quite quiet, because we didn't obviously want that to get out. And again, like we said, LA is a small world, and I'm sure he didn't want all his business until he was ready to share it be put out on Vanderpump Rules, even though he really thoroughly enjoyed Vanderpump Rules as a show. So that was wonderful for him when he got his little cameos, I'm sure. But yeah, so we get to know a little bit more about that. She does kind of clarify, no, I didn't sleep with him right away. It was quite some time later, and everybody just kind of just took that for face value. Fine, it is what it is. Now, they also talk about the fact, it was really funny, because she says that she was from Utah and she didn't know that that was how things worked. And okay, how am I going to say this? Okay. It definitely isn't how things should work, but I think we all know. Okay. A lot of us know that, yeah, that's the rumor, if not the actuality, in unfortunate cases. Does everybody do that? No, of course not. But there have been many instances and many allegations in which that is something that has occurred, that maybe even continues to occur to this day, right? I mean, I'm not an actress. I'm not in those pools, and so there's that. I'm sure there's lots of stories, lots of unfortunate situations. We know about the Harvey Weinsteins of it all. And, so at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that go on, and it's not an easy town to be in. Let's just say that. So to be like, I didn't know anything about that, it was kind of interesting because so many people have talked about those types of things over the years. And the term casting couch is an old term. So, okay, we'll just buy it. We'll go along, right? We'll go along with that. But of course, James just smilingly, laughingly says, "Hey, I knew about that since I was 8." Yeah, James. And of course, Lisa Corpson, well, of course, you know about that because look, you slept with Kristen to get on the show. So you see what I'm saying when we talk about all of the intertwining of the cast and the sleeping around and then this and then that. I mean, it's just something that has been unfortunately a part of the fabric of the show, I guess. I don't know. But that's what's come about. And so for Lisa threw that out there, I thought it was kind of funny. And James, of course, he was like, yeah, okay. And they went back to, of course, a previous was it a previous reunion where he did say, hey, look, I was either going to sleep on Tom's couch or I was going to sleep with his ex-girlfriend. And that was like a joke, right? That was so funny. And the ex-girlfriend being Kristen. So it was just all kinds of cray. But, at the end of the day, he was cool with it. And he said he didn't have a problem with it. And yeah, it is what it is. He got on the show. And he said Lisa should be thankful that he did what he did because it allowed him to give her a storyline for the show, like as if he was the star of the show at some point in time. Look, James is a hot mess. He's always been a hot mess, but now he is a little bit funnier. I hope that he will see more of his humorous side because he's letting us know over and over again and he's much older now and he doesn't do a lot of that stupid stuff. So let's hope that we will get more of that because James is kind of funny sometimes. Now, as we sashay out of that area, we didn't talk about the fact that Lala shares that she is just shy of 4.5 years of sobriety. So congratulations to her for that. I know that is quite a journey to be on, and I'm proud that she's been able to do what she needed to do, and she's very focused. Lala is not a stupid girl. That would be nothing that you could ever, I feel, categorize her as because she's a very smart cookie. She really is. So I'm just really glad that this is something that she's able to move forward to. I know that things are very difficult right now with the whole custody situation with Randall, and she's doing a lot of work and just bringing a lot of awareness to the children's court situations and how custody things go and all of that. And so there's going to be a lot of benefit, I think, to that if she really takes that bull by the horns and really is able to give good information and get people directed to the right locations for resources and stuff. And I applaud her for doing that. Anytime someone is doing good for the world, I think is a wonderful thing. So, yeah, we're all flawed in one way or another, or many ways in the other, but I do appreciate her standing up. I know that probably took a lot of courage, and she's doing it because look, it's a survival mode for her. It's about her and her daughter. She wants the best life for her daughter. And I think that that's a great thing. So, kudos to that. And to Lala for stepping into those murky waters. But, she's never been one to shy away from that, right? She's never been one to not be able to kind of step in where she needs to step in. So, good for her on that. And then, of course, at this point, everybody's congratulating her, which I think was great, because it is a good thing. And everybody's breaking for lunch. And it was probably a couple of scenes that we all been waiting for in part 2. So as everybody breaks for lunch, you see the cool gang table, which is basically everybody besides Tom Sandoval, Schwartz, and of course Raquel, because she can't be anywhere near Sheena. I don't know where Schwartz was, other than as they're breaking, Schwartz decides to just, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know about Schwartz, y'all. I don't know about him, but he starts doing push-ups, and I guess he's trying to relieve his anxiety. Again, isn't he like almost 40 years old? I mean, I get it. I get it. It's very tense, but at the same time, I don't know. I just expected to be a lot cooler than what he is. It's not like it's his relationship per se, but I guess it's the relationships of everybody else that he has really let down. And maybe that's part of what the issue is. And like, he's almost like he's scared to really speak about things. But then in moments he kind of gets, to ramped up and says, oh yeah, no, this is what happened. So I don't know about Tom, but yeah, he clearly was trying to relieve himself of something. And so we don't see him past that, because I don't think we saw him at lunchtime, right? And I'm pretty sure he was not at the cool group table. I don't think he would have been. But Tom decides to make a beeline to where, that 100-yard trailer, yes, where Miss Raquel Rachel is waiting. And he comes in and gives her a hug. It's just like he's just did battle that he didn't himself had created. And he just basically says, everybody's doing everything I thought they would do. Right. He says to Raquel, look, I expected, James to be going off and rah, rah, rah. And that's what he was doing. He was going rah, rah the entire time. Right. He wasn't letting up on Tom. He feels that, Lala was being Lala and judgmental about both of them, because she can't stand either one of them. Newsflash, Tom, I don't think Raquel is, or not Raquel, Lala has ever not such can stand Raquel. She's always let it be known how she feels about Raquel, so that shouldn't be no great surprise. And honestly, I don't think she's ever really cared for Tom that much either. I mean, if I think back on some of the past seasons, yeah, I would say she probably doesn't have a big fondness for him either. So, there's that. And then of course we've got who else did he talk about? Oh, Sheena. He says, Sheena's over there trying to get herself back into the cool group. So she's over there basically just, sucking up to Katie. Now, that is an interesting dynamic, because of the fact that now that Raquel, if you notice like how the season went, if you were watching it, Raquel and Sheena were basically, with Charlie on occasion, were really the group, right? They were their group. And Raquel had obviously a relationship with Ariana too, but it was most beneficial when it was just her and Ariana. And then you have Katie, Ariana, and then that one other girl, Kristen Kelly or something, Kelly, Crystal, whatever, that girl, the one that was filming with Katie. I can't remember her name right now. I think it was Kristen Kelly or something like that. But anyways, not important. But you can just see a split already. And of course, what ends up happening with that being a split is that now with Raquel not there and Sheena, kind of lukewarm terms, maybe neutral terms with Katie. Now that they're in that positioning, it's like, who's she going to film with? Brock is not on all the time. I think that's even done on purpose, because I guess there was some issues where people felt that Brock was on too much. So they wanted to maybe see more of Sheena. So Brock only was on a little bit at a time. So, she's going to have people to film with. Now, Ariana, she will film with. That won't be a problem. But there's going to be a lot of times where Ariana and Katie are going to be filming together, right? They're going to be doing a lot because of that something about her shop. So, we'll have to see. But, the fact of the matter is Sheena is got to really strategically look at how she's going to move forward with her relationships with the other ones as well, since Raquel, who was a big part of her group, is just no longer there, and she does not wish to have another friendship or establish a friendship, friendship with her, reestablish a friendship with her anymore because of what she did. So, at the end of the day, you can't trust her. I know she's very concerned right now about, the fact she didn't get any apology or anything. And I feel like Sheena really wants her to, Raquel to, I guess, own up and say sorry, but I don't even know if it even matters at this point, because her words would ring hollow to me. It doesn't seem like it would mean much of anything, because she didn't care enough to not do what she did. So at the end of the day, I just don't see it that you're going to get any kind of, apology to do what? Apology only means something when, there's actions that back up that apology. And I don't think she's done anything to back up an apology would be given. She's already saying that she's lied about getting the TDRL, or lied about the conditions that got her the TDRL. That's pretty much done for me. If you're pulling out restraining orders and stuff like that, I think the relationship is pretty much over. And I don't see any situation in which you guys will be friends again. So, I don't even know at this point, what difference does it make? I would be like, stay away from me, because guess what? She's dangerous. I know Lisa doesn't like that, but yes, Tom is dangerous, and so is Raquel Rachel. She is very dangerous. So yeah, I don't see a point in which that's going to work out. But of course, back to Tom and Raquel in the trailer. Raquel, I guess she's just realizing certain things and didn't know that certain things were a certain way between Tom and Ariana. She didn't realize that they were still sleeping together, clearly, right? She did not think, she says, look, it's kind of looking like, you guys were really in an actual relationship. I mean, and I just kind of just came on in there. Yeah, the coaching is real, right? And the denial and the delusion of it all is real. But it almost has felt like when she's not with him in his orb, she kind of comes out a little bit into reality, but then she kind of snatches right back up into that delusional land. But, of course, he says, well, maybe we should have really done things differently. Ha ha ha. And I guess they're being sarcastic and funny at the same time. None of this is funny at the end of the day. But, of course, that's what they feel. And of course, Tom also wants to continue having a conversation with her. You can kind of tell they have this like little thing where they try to do with their eyes, I think, a little bit. And so you can tell he wanted to have more conversation with her, but he didn't want to do it on camera, right? So then we see this 40-year-old man come outside of his trailer and has a complete tantrum about not being able to have a conversation with Raquel Rachel without the cameras. It's like, dude, you're on a show. You're on a show. This is what we do here. If you want to talk to her, you ain't going to be on this show. Now, if you want to have a moment to yourself without the cameras, no problem. We can do that. But you are going to be on camera every time we see you and her together. And that's just what it is. And we just a full on tantrum, right? Just, what was all left was him stomping his feet down the parking lot about how he wanted to stop filming him. I just want to stop filming. Just like, get a grip, dude. Get a grip. And of course, Raquel's just kind of quiet sitting on there. I guess she's looking at him, with the rose-colored glasses, like he's my hero. He's going to get us out of this. And yeah, so that didn't work out too well. I would assume that didn't happen. I thought he was going to probably for a second there just say, I'm just going to stop filming altogether, because he really was having a crisis in that moment. I guess he wanted to get their story straight because there's been a couple of moments where that didn't land right with him and Tom Schwartz. So, yeah, it was kind of cray-cray. But he really was full on just into all of his shenanigans. I did like about the cool group table with Ariana, how she said, look, little Miss Home Wrecker over there, she is going to be feeling it differently when she decides that she wants to expect more of Tom in a relationship like she did. See how that didn't work out for her either? The bottom line is Tom and Raquel are not going to work out. That's just what it is. And I'll say this, if they do work out, it's not going to happen. But if they do, let's go into delusional world for just a moment. If they do stay together, if they do hang in there together, it's going to be for show, right? It's going to be to prove something, because there was not love that got him into this situation, and it won't be love that will get him out. I think the interest of all of the hoopla and all of this, catting around and all that kind of stuff is what was so sexy about it all. And it ain't so sexy right now. And all the foolishness that's going on, it ain't so sexy. And I'm still wondering if Sheena is actually going to do something about that TDRL. Is it TDRL? No, it's not that TDRL. I think that was a show. But that temporary restraining order that Raquel put out on her. And I want to see what she's going to do about that, because, there's some issues there. I've got questions. I wonder if you do. What do you think about that? Do you think that she is going to take it to court? Because, of course, she's alleging that Raquel was lying about whatever she got together to put that temporary restraining order. So, let me know your thoughts. I would like to know. But yeah, and then honestly, that tantrum was ridiculous. But so we get past that point. We get to the point where everybody's coming back and there's more conversation being had, more revelations being had. Raquel did have a moment where she was, just looking and kind of just wondering as she's watching Sheena get upset about, because we get into a little bit more conversation about this temporary restraining order, right? And Raquel is feeling really upset and well, I don't know. She's not feeling upset. Is Sheena really feeling more upset? But she's like realizing, like, well, maybe I should have gave her a note. No, right? Um, I don't know what the note would have said exactly, but yeah, I'm sorry, I messed up. Kind of maybe the same thing that she texted to Ariana when she had got blocked from Ariana when she wanted to try to tell her side of the story 48 hours after the situation blew up. And she basically said, you know what, I messed up and I'm so sorry. And then, of course, Ariana's like, you know what, you're a rat. And yeah, we're blocked. I think she said something else. So I think so she can get off. And yeah, I agree with Ariana on that wholeheartedly. Although I know there is a, kind of a debate going on, as far as Ariana, if she deserved what she got or not. I think people aren't just on both sides of that situation. There's so many different things. And at the end of the day, Kristen and Ariana are like, it's great if you guys can kind of come together. But let's see, what else did we cover? Because I think we covered pretty much a lot of what was going on there. They did talk about what is his name? James, and how he really got into the relationship with Allie 6 weeks after his breakup with Raquel, which kind of does make sense as to why people would think that he would still be kind of strung out on Raquel and not necessarily ready for Allie. So I do hope that Allie will be much quicker in getting out of the situation if she feels that it's not serving her. She seems to be in love. That's what she's portraying. Look, I think she's going to get a bigger role next season. It's a guaranteed. I'm sure she'll be on next season. I'm pretty sure. I know we're supposed to be waiting for this big reveal, which I don't know if that's going to be much about anything, but I know we're waiting on it. And but I still think that, yeah, she'll be on there because I still cannot think. And I would love to know your thought. What do you think the big reveal is? I know I mentioned that in the part one, but what do you think the big reveal is going to be on Bravo about this whole thing? That would be such a situation that people would think twice about signing on for season 11, because I can't think of anything. I don't think that it has anything to do with there's lots of rumors going on, right? And one of them is that we know that Vanderpump Elisa is got I guess a couple of restaurants opening up in Vegas, so there's one thinking that maybe she may be leaving, and maybe they would have to come with her, and that quickly got a little bit doused because they were saying no, this issue is between one of the three principal people, and three principal people being Ariana, Raquel, and Tom. So I don't know what it could be. Honestly, that would affect all the cast members. The only thing I can think of with all of the things that have been talked about is it a situation where they were together longer than what they're talking about with the 7 months or 8 months or so? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But even when we find out that they've been together 7 or 8 months, how would that affect all the cast members, right? Unless you're not going to say that other cast members who said they didn't know anything did know something. Even if Tom came out and said, you know what, I knew from the get-go that this is what was going on, that he was cheating, and I knew everything, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's going to really affect anybody because I think people already feel that way anyways. So the only person is like if you said Sheena knew something, and Sheena wouldn't do that because she's best friends with Ariana. So I'm curious if you think that, what it is that they possibly could put out there, or you think it's just a whole bunch of do about nothing. And maybe I kind of think it's going to be a whole lot to do about nothing. But hey, look, I'm here for it. If it's not, I'm here for it. And I really would like to know, because I don't know about that. I don't know. But yeah, so they talk about that. They also brought in Allie. I don't want to call her Ari for some reason. I'm thinking about 90 Day Fiance, but they bring out Allie. So, and everybody seems to love Allie. Now, if you remember, if you had been watching the season, what is her name? Not Lala. What's the idiot? Raquel Rachel. She had basically felt that Allie was kind of like a replacement, right? That, kind of just insert a girlfriend into James's life. And it's kind of funny because in a way, I like Allie, but in a way, I kind of think that is kind of what it is. Allie comes across a little bit of the demure type of way, very quiet, soft-spoken, blah, blah, blah. But she still seems to be a little bit stronger in her disposition to me than Lala. I want to keep saying Lala, but then Raquel Rachel. So there's that. But everybody seems to love Allie. His mother loves her. The cast, Lala is in love with her. That's probably why I want to keep saying Lala, because she really is like taking Allie under her wing like she's her younger sister. So I don't think she's going to mess with James while he's with Allie, because she just absolutely adores her. And as we all know, Lala did not adore Raquel Rachel whatsoever. She couldn't stand her. She made it be known each and every day that they were on screen how much she did not like her. I think the nicest I've seen her with is only once or twice, and one being in this season before everything blew up. So yeah, it was quite crazy how that worked out. But there was that. And they did ask Allie if she thought that, are you concerned about the drinking? Do you think that the drinking is an issue? Do you think that the drinking is something that is going to be something you're going to have to deal with later on? And Allie says, no, I don't think the drinking is going to be a problem. I back off on the drinking at times, and he does the same thing. I know that that was a problem, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Good luck on that. They also ask her about, hey, did you not see Vanderpump Rules before you got with James? And of course she had. She said she went into during, whenever the world had shut down, that she kind of went down the whole rabbit hole of the show and watched a lot of stuff. So she got to see James and how he acted, and she wasn't thrilled with it. But at the end of the day, she said she got to know him one-on-one, and she thought he was lovely. So, hey, things can change every now and again, maybe so. But let me see. Yeah. Oh, Tom also did bring up a couple of things of how James's drinking was a bit of an issue in the past. As if you remember in part one, Lala telling James or Tom to stop going into the past and bringing up stuff to go after, deal with the here and now. But he wanted to bring that up, and he did. Apparently there was a lot of issues from time to time, but there was a couple of jobs, I guess they were working or running, and James apparently had been drinking too much, and he was smacking the bums of waitresses, and apparently the owners of the club or wherever they were had to get the waitresses to sign off documentation that they wouldn't sue the establishment because of James, and they lost the jobs. And it's like, that's really rich. Is it true or not? I don't know. I don't know if James could remember. I don't even know if James really denied it. I don't really recall. But at the same time, Tom too knows how to drink a lot. Tom Schwartz drinks a lot. We've seen that, many times, again and again and again. And when Tom Sandoval, because he's just not quick enough for Ariana, he makes the comment as he's getting into everything, look, you're not recognizing the fact of what James does, but I get drunk, yes, but I don't sit there smacking bums. And Ariana says, oh, you slid right into my zone. Yes, you just go and screw my friends. So you just screw my friends, So I mean, I just remember sitting there and like, Tom is just not quick enough for Ariana. She's just not. And of course, that's also when we get the conversation about, and it was just so stupid. It was so stupid about Tom being upset about the clothing when he gave examples to Rachel, when they were back in the trailer before coming back on. If you recall that he had mentioned that, how Ariana, because, we're victim blaming 24/7 here, that she is the reason, obviously, that all this happened, and that part of it was the condescending attitude that she had about him. And the only example that he could seem to come up with was about the fact that she didn't care for one outfit over another after he asked her which thing that she should wear. I mean, look, the fact that Ariana was able to stay in this relationship as long as she did is remarkable. And maybe there's something else that she saw that we don't see, because yeah, it's crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So yeah, that was something that was definitely talked about a lot. And then Allie, was just asked Allie, how she felt about Lala and Raquel Rachel, which Raquel Rachel has no credibility, so it really doesn't matter about her, but how she felt about them coming to her and telling her all the horrible things about the big bad James. And she said, look, at the time, now it's funny how she looked at Lala, right? If you recall, she looked at Lala, almost like to make sure it's okay. I'm about to, clown it. Also, you can say whatever you want to say. It's okay. And, she just shares, yeah, it did bother me a little bit. I wish that I had been more supportive of our relationship. But, at the same time, they were looking out for her. And that's, of course, when Lala chimes in addition to saying, no, maybe I am coming off a little bit much, right? Because at the end of the day, I've been through what I've been through, and I don't want to see her go through what I went through. And so therefore, I feel very much in protective mode. So, Allie seems to accept that, and we move on from that. And of course, I think that was really much what wrapped up Allie's situation. But I thought she did a lovely job. I did find it interesting that Charlie didn't make a cameo on it, but Allie did, and she did a good. And everybody said goodbye to her, and it just everything was so. I just remember thinking when Allie was leaving the stage that they really like Allie. Allie's really really cool to them, and so it worked out nicely. And so, of course, Lala does talk about the fact, again, that she was hypersensitive about things. And so just the way that she had carried herself had a lot to do with that, too. She wasn't trying to, hurt anybody or kind of tell anybody what to do or strong arm them. She was just trying to be there as a friend, which, we all would like people to look out for us. But, at the end of the day, I think she feels that Allie and James are good for each other, at least at the moment. And hopefully James won't, screw it up. I hope that he works it out and they'll be okay. So, they get after that, they kind of wrap it up, say Allie bye, and then we get back to Sheena. Because again, like I said, Scandival really took over, right? It took over the reunion. I mean, it took over the freaking season. But at the end of the day, we did need to touch on a couple more things. And one of those things so far, and we're doing this and we haven't even gotten to part 3 yet, but one of those things was more about the temporary restraining order, of course, by Sheena and Raquel, the situation what they were in. Sheena breaks down, she cries, she's so upset. Tom actually had shared, like when they asked him, because I guess Andy was doing a kind of round robin, getting everybody's opinion about things. And he gets to Tom, and then Tom is like, barely can speak. He's trying to, salvage his relationship with Sheena. And then Ariana yells at him, "You have no relationship with Sheena. That is done, And so he says, "Well, I heard that she punched her," hearing, that Raquel had said that over the phone. And Ariana's like, "That is not what you heard. You couldn't have heard this situation because we're in at the same time, in the car at the same time. So you didn't hear what you heard." And I love the control that Ariana had with Tom too, at times when he would be talking or over talking in areas that he shouldn't be, and she would shush him and he would literally just stop. I mean, see, that's what a 10-year relationship will get you, right? And he didn't really go against what she was saying. So it was kind of funny. But nevertheless, that's what took place. That's what was going on with that. Like I said, Sheena was really upset. She, the fact that she took took this girl in, mothered her, sistered her up, gave her a place to stay, was always there for her. I think got her food and all this other stuff, and just took care of her like she was a little baby dove, I guess. And, and so the fact that she would be the one that a restraining order would be put up against was just incredible to her. And then it's also alleging that maybe it wasn't her that did it, that maybe it was her family that put her up to it. And that had been kind of spewing around too. So allegedly that's what's being said too, that, that it was probably the family that talked her up into doing it, because Raquel Rachel does say that she regrets doing the temporary restraining order. So I would wonder why you'd be regretting it now too. If what you said happened, why would you be regretting it now? You would be, 10 toes down that, yeah, this is what happened and I stand by what I did. But she's not standing by it. She wishes that she hadn't done it. So, there's that. So she ruined another relationship, of course. And, there's that. Okay, Sarah, I guess. But, with all the crying and everything, at the end of the day, she could not talk more about that. Sheena couldn't, because at the time of the reunion, when they were taping the reunion, it was before the trial date was supposed to happen, which was like March 29th was the date that was set for it. Of course, you may have already known that that's when it got dropped, because they didn't show up, they being Raquel and her lawyer, because they had the intent to drop the restraining order. And by way, Rachel gives something to Andy, this paper that apparently wasn't even filled out completely, but gave it to Sheena as a form of saying that I'm dropping the restraining order. So that was a bit of, craziness too. And that's what, opened up the floodgates with the tears and everything, and just how much, she was taking energy away from just living her day-to-day life, scared to death of what was going to happen to her if this moved forward, even though she knew she did not do whatever was, she's saying that, she didn't do whatever it was alleged that she had did. So, and of course, nobody wants to be in the system and dealing with stuff like this. So, this is never ends well. And when you have these things and you're trying to do business and move in your life, these types of things will hinder you. So I'm glad that part is over. But the question really lies, is Sheena going to do anything to deal with the situation. And I guess I don't know, because if she does, how far will that go? And we still don't know who's going to come back for season 11. So yeah, again, drop your thoughts if you think if she's going to do anything about that or not. So of course, when Tom, was given his what he heard, and of course, like I said, Ariana had told him no, that's not what happened. And Sheena was like, when he said though about that he didn't know what he wanted to do, he was afraid about doing the wrong thing. And Sheena's like, well, then you shut your mouth, basically, right? You shut your mouth, you don't say anything, you end it. But then he presumed to go ahead and start speaking. So, clearly he's not interested in the relationship anymore, even though she had told him that she couldn't deal with him anymore. And he wasn't even on the phone, because I think Ariana had mentioned that as well. Part of the situation was that Tom was going off on Sheena and talking about how they weren't really friends and all this other foolishness. And Sheena was like, crushed, because I've known you for 14 years. I've defended you to Ariana. I have had your back. I have, been like, look, if something wasn't right, and I knew something wasn't right, I accepted you and I moved on. So how dare you treat me that way? And so, she's just hurt all the way along. And of course, Ariana throws in some more jabs to Tom about how he coaches Raquel Rachel on what to say and all of this situation, and then how she was coached too. And then it was so funny because Tom says, you know what, you coached me. And she said, you know what, well, you need some coaching. I'm like, it's just, again, another opportunity where, Tom and Ariana just on what's alone, we're not a match. And I hope, it's out there now that I guess that she's, finally Ariana's dipped out into the dating scene and she's dating this new guy, and he and her, they look really cute together. And I hope that this, whether this is the person or not, I just want her to have fun and be able to really put this foolishness, behind her. So that's basically what happens there. Nothing else more. Of course, I did mention already earlier about Raquel Rachel talking about the fact that she is regretting what she did, and that maybe she should have gotten a note, because after she saw Sheena getting so upset and crying and tearful and all this stuff, she felt really bad. And again, I don't know what that note would say. There was conversation about malicious intent, because Tom seems to still thinking I didn't maliciously do anything to you. She's like, it's malicious on its grounds. There is the fact that you did what you did, it was malicious. Tom just, I don't know who I guess he believes his own hype. I don't know. But yeah, it was back and forth, and of course back to victim blaming, talking about the intimacy, talking about what she wasn't doing, talking about what she didn't like, talking about this, that, and the other, and it was all just silly. And so this all wraps us up to where Sheena's time for her to kind of exit stage left. But before she does, she's got that good as gold commercial out, which is a Uber Eats commercial with Ariana and Lala. And I think it's actually a cute commercial. They did a really nice job. She also had remembered that Andy had said, hey, some years ago, you've got an album, or not album, a song here and a song here, and 10 years from now, which 2023 would have been the 10 years, that you probably will have an album. And so she did have a created album. I think she was trying to say that the record was actually gold. It's like real gold, I guess. Might have been 10 karat or something like that, possibly. I thought that was really cool. And she gave him an album. It was really nice, very professionally done, by the way. So yeah, that was really fun. And of course, before she got a chance to do that, Tom was going to storm off. And then, she's like, no, Tom, you can go. You can go. You don't have to stay here for this. And so, yeah. And Andy loved it. Andy gets a lot of gifts, don't he? Even when they talked about the merch with Ariana and Katie, they talked about the merch that they received for something about her, and they did really well. All the fans that were really supporting Ariana, and they did really well. I think she said they got 200K. So yeah, they're just rolling with that sandwich shop. Oh, and there was also another quick funny moment when we're talking about Tom and his silliness. How he Katie had said that he was a serial unalivers. I gotta watch my wording. A serial unaliver's dream, because he's so trusting with everybody and anything. And Tom was like, no, that's not me. I'm not that way. But she's like, yes, you are. Because look at the foolishness that you allowed happen to you while you were trying to be a beard to Tom in that situation with Rachel. And so then we kind of get to the end, right? We're now waiting for the anticipation of Rachel coming out on stage. And we do quip to her one-on-one for a minute, where she does actually share at this point, which I think is probably the most honest she has been, is that she was scared to see Ariana for maybe the first time, I guess. Although she's been doing some stupid stuff since the situation and before the reunion came out, but nevertheless, she feels that she wish she had done things differently. But then she did, in the same boat, go back into victim blaming Ariana about the situation that Tom had brought up, that well, she didn't seem to want to know, and since she didn't want to know, that we thought it'd be okay to keep doing it. And so Raquel was of that same vibe as well. We're just going to keep doing this because she didn't seem like she wanted to know, so it was okay. I mean, it's so wild, the thought process that goes into these people. But nevertheless, that's what she thought. She says that she was a bit on the naive side in regards of thinking about how she would move forward with Ariana. Like, how does this going to look? As if like it was going to even be okay. Let's say it didn't all blow up the way that it did. Like, it was just going to be okay. Like, you just were going to be able to date her man afterwards, right? I mean, it just like and stay in the circle, and everything would just be the way they was, and nothing would change, and all of us would be just happy go lucky, and I just would be the new Ariana living in your house that you bought with him. I mean, it's insanity. But of course, as they do take a slight break, you see, as they're waiting, no, they didn't. Well, they were kind of a slight break. They just hadn't left yet. And you also see that it's time for Raquel to come on stage, and then Tom is popping out his pills of Xanax, and everybody's like all in like, what are you taking Xanax for? And because he's nervous, and it was just, I think it was all a bit of a show, quite frankly. But also, there was also another moment, because Katie and Tom did have a bit of a moment where when they talked about the breakup between Katie and Tom, and the issue with Katie and Tom, how he felt that she diminishes his friendships and all this stuff. And, he felt that, at the time that they were breaking up, his father and his brother, one of his brothers, because he has triplet brothers, I guess was fighting cancer, and they, thought things were not going to go in the right direction. And I would assume that they're okay and in remission. So there was a lot going on for him. And, Tom, between that and opening up the bars and this, that, and the other, and he never really seemed to have much interest in what Katie was saying half the time anyways, it just was a fog for him at that time. But, maybe, there will be a path somewhere in the future where Katie and Tom will be able to be friends. I don't know. I think it's wishful thinking, but I do think that Katie should most certainly, keep her distance, at least for the time being, and just really focus on herself and something about her and whatever other endeavors she's doing, and not worry so much about Tom and what he's doing and who he's with, because, Tom is just Tom. So, but it was funny that he was acting up and just, crazy as usual. Yeah, he was nervous, but then, what we get for those last cliffhanger minutes, because we have to have a cliffhanger, is Raquel popping up on that stage, and we get the hello Andy, and that was that. So it's going to be interesting. Oh, also too, did you catch that at that end point where Andy was telling Tom Schwartz that he'd have to, go down one seat, right, to sit where Sheena was sitting and where she left, because that would put Raquel and Tom sitting next to each other and eyes direct to Ariana. Oh, she don't. No, he don't need to move, and no, she don't need to be sitting there. And Andy picked it up. I'm surprised he didn't pick it up before he even said that, but he did. And he's like, okay, no, we're not moving. No, we're not. I'm like, are you serious, Andy? Like, we were going to see another brawl if that was the case. And I'm not convinced necessarily that we won't see one part 3, but maybe not. They'll probably keep it together, stay in the chairs. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting. Are you guys interested in seeing how part 3 is going to pan out? What are your thoughts on that? I'd like to know. Did you enjoy part two? Did you think that you got more information than you already had seen all over the world and all the blogs and all the newspapers and all the CNN, for heaven's sakes, or did you think you learned something new? There's a couple things I learned new. But yeah, it's going along the ways that I thought it would for the most part. But I think at this point, part three is going to probably full on be the scandal of it all, right? A full hour of just straight that, because I think we've covered everybody's additional story that wasn't going to get much play because of the cheating scandal. So I think we've covered enough of the wedding for Sheena. I think we've covered enough about Katie and Tom. They shouldn't have been together in the first place. And I think we've really kind of, ran the gamut with Lala and Randall situation for the time being, unless something else comes up or another reference point comes up in part three. But I think for that will about do it for this recap, review, and chat of part two. I thank you for being here and listening and watching in. If you are new here, definitely go ahead and subscribe, be part of the family. I would love to have you. I'm just appreciating the community that's being built up here on my channel, and I would just love to have you as part of it as well. Make sure that you leave your comments in regards to what you think about the Vanderpump Rules reunion thus far, what your thoughts are about that. And also, go ahead and give this video a like. I so appreciate it if you enjoyed it. And, just let's communicate in the comment section below. I so appreciate that as well. But yeah, I think that I've got another video that I might be dropping. It'll be a still video, so we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll depend. It's getting kind of late right now, so we'll have to see if I'll get that one out today or not. But if not, it'll be tomorrow. But yeah, or Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be back with them. I don't want to put too much pressure on that because, I've got a couple things that are running through my mind, but I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you are doing well. And it's, I guess school's out for summer right now. So, I'm hoping that you guys are being safe and enjoying, your time right now, because it does go by so fast when the school year comes back around really quickly. So I do hope that you are doing well. So again, I guess I will bid you adieu. Thank you again for being here. And until next time, be safe, be blessed. Bye.